Like feuding wrestlers, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford know their roles. Okay? Can we move on? For those of you crying about my take on Pacquiao Barrios and trying to tell me that, well, if that fight was an exhibition, then Usyk Dubois, what do you say about that? I mean, if you think Usyk Dubois was a fixed fight, then I don't understand why you watch boxing. Because if that's the standard, then all fights are fixed. Anyway, stop loving these boxers, man. Grow up. Grow up. And get a pair of glasses or something, man. Stop pissing me off with this bullshit. I mean, it's right in your fucking face. They're brainwashing you to finally, once the curtain is finally pulled back, the same way it was with WWE or F, professional wrestling. It was real, supposedly. And at some point in the beginning, yeah, it probably was. And you were supposed to believe it was. And then they slowly pulled back the curtain, and everybody knows what the deal is, and they still love it. It's the same thing happening to boxing right now. Wakey, wakey. Anyway, I took down a lot of my videos, okay? And I'm going to take down all of them, most of them, right? Because, moving on. Take a sip of my coffee. Good morning, everybody. I will have an extended review of Usyk Dubois, and there will be highlight technical breakdown on a different channel. So stay tuned. Diego Pacheco versus Trevor McCumby. I did not see all the fights last night, and I won't be going back to watch what I missed. So this is what I got. Also, Ben Rodriguez, I watched that fight. I saw a couple more, but those are the only ones I'm going to talk about, okay? Kevin Lorena, lie down like a bitch. Stop calling these guys warriors, giving them credit. Anyway, Trevor McCumby came to win. He just wasn't good enough. And Pacheco is pretty average himself, in my humble opinion. Why was the fight boring or not very exciting? That's because McCumby refused to engage a lot, and he was just looking for that one big punch, looking to take advantage of Pacheco's liabilities and his blatant flaws, and Pacheco couldn't adjust. That's why it was boring. Now, what are these flaws that I'm talking about? So, much like his gym mate, Benavidez, Pacheco lacks fluid footwork, and he's just off balance. His stance is generally too wide for what it is that he's trying to do, right? Because you could have quote unquote too wide of a stance, fundamentally looking at sound boxing fundamentals. But if you're doing that for a good reason, then that's what you're doing. But yeah, his stance is too wide, and he commits to every single jab just about. He throws a power jab, and that jab throws him off balance. And if he's able to follow up that jab, it's because he's much taller and rangier than his opponents. And he was able to follow it up a little bit in this fight because he's tall and rangy. But McCumby was, if not super quick, and that was his problem, he was fast. And when he was still fresh, he was able to avoid the second phase of attack from Pacheco. So basically, Pacheco's feet are too wide generally. And then when he steps into that jab, he gets super wide and he's off balance, and McCumby had some success countering him, right? But he's also pretty quick. He brings that back foot, Pacheco that is, to reestablish his stance, and then he starts throwing with you, and then he's dangerous mid-range, in the pocket, inside. He's very dangerous. So what McCumby was doing is looking to time Pacheco's poor footwork, or when because he's got that David Benavidez footwork too. It's bad. He was looking to time that footwork and jump in with some crazy shit, and he was having some decent success with that crazy ass blitz, which was very fast once he got going, but the reaction wasn't quite quick enough to be able to hit Pacheco. That's not me saying McCumby was slow or not quick, because he was pretty quick, but Pacheco was just able to react and for the most part get out of there. And then when Pacheco decided to time that blitz, stop and drop, they clashed heads, McCumby got cut, and he abandoned that tactic. So after that, he didn't really have much of a plan B. That seemed to be his primary plan, is just to surprise Pacheco, get him off balance when his feet are too close together or too wide apart, jump on him and try to knock him out with something. And once that failed, he was more or less neutered. Didn't have much there, but there were a few instances where Pacheco lunged in with the jab, off balance, feet all over the goddamn place, or behind him mostly, and McCumby was able to counter him. But it just wasn't enough, and Pacheco was able to not really dominate these rounds, but win them clearly. I don't know. I wasn't scoring it, but maybe McCumby won 2, maybe 3 if you wanted to be generous. So the fight wasn't close. It was just kind of slow and boring, because one guy was in this fight anyway, very one-dimensional, didn't really have a solid enough plan B, and Pacheco couldn't adjust because his base is all wrong. His fundamentals are all wrong, just like David Benavidez is. So Benavidez Sr., in my opinion, is a novice coach who gives his fighters wrong fundamentals. And if your base is all wrong, then you're never going to be the elite of the elite. Pacheco's going to do well against guys that are smaller than he, but once he moves up in weight, he matures and can't drop 30 or whatever the fuck it is, 40 pounds to make this weight. And he doesn't fix his feet, he's going to be a B-level guy. But he's young. He's got time to learn. You got to break him down. I think you got to break him down completely. Or, another thing, you could work with that base that's poor, like Pacheco, for example, or other fighters, right? Because it would be very, very hard to break him down to brass tacks, bare fundamentals, bare bones, and rebuild his whole stance and everything. I mean, maybe he's young enough, I don't know. Maybe he's a quick learner, but that seems very difficult, to break a fighter down completely and rebuild them from scratch. But what they can do is just add little things here and there to turn a bad thing into a good thing. It's still not going to be perfect, but so for example, when he lunges forward, right, instead of looking to recover his base, shift into southpaw, or is he a southpaw? Right, just cross your feet, step into the opposite stance from where you are normally, but don't just do that with your hands down, or not probing, not throwing punches, not changing levels. You got to do all that, some of it, right? You got to punch as you step into southpaw, let's say. Dip your knees, feint, right? Probe the jab, throw a punch, maybe 2, right? And then throw some more punches from southpaw. Or if your opponent is backing up, crosswalk into back into orthodox, and keep fighting. So maybe make that first step a little smaller. Don't lunge in so much, and then cross step into the opposite stance. For example, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Pacheco is one of them guys that's winning because he's good, and he hits hard for the weight because he's so much bigger than the rest of the guys. Is he a snack athlete? Probably. Or Memo. But, when he moves up in weight and these guys are his height and they got good skill, those punches that McCumby was just barely missing, if he doesn't improve, they're going to be cracking him with that. So, yeah. That's why the fight was kind of underwhelming. And Pacheco's flaws, if you know what you're looking at, were on display, exposed. Benavidez Sr., he's just, clearly a novice coach.